Hey, what's up everyone? JayzTwoCents here, and I just got back from Micro Center in North Carolina, the new Charlotte store. And we did a kind of an impromptu meet and greet there, and a bunch of people came up. And I'll tell you right now, there's one common question I keep getting anytime I do a meet and greet lately, or I read comments, or I get emails. It's people wanting to know, Jay, what's going on with your health? So at the risk of sounding like sympathy seeking and all that sort of stuff, I don't like doing those types of videos. I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys an update, because to be honest, things have actually improved quite a bit. So I wanna tell you where I came from, what was done, and what the future looks like. And not to mention, it's not just a future of health, but as you can tell by the comment or the title of this video, we're moving. So there's a lot getting ready to happen in a very short period of time, where things seem like they were on slow motion, now things seem like they're in for X fast forward. Today's video is brought to you by the new, really super cool JayzTwoCents Melty Connector shirt. You know, paying tribute to one of the best designs that's clearly ever existed. And if you don't like the Vaporwave colors, we've got our OG gray and red colors available now. So get yours by following the link in the description below. Nice. Ow, I have a thigh cramp. So when we go back to December, when I started feeling just run down and tired and was really starting to think it was like low testosterone or something like that, went to the doctor and was like, when I say tired, I'm not gonna repeat all this. You guys can go watch the initial video. It was like, let's talk about my health. It's not good, I think was the title. I was literally like a car out of gas. When I mean out of gas, I couldn't stay awake past like 6 p.m. I had zero energy, full body pain, all kinds of crazy stuff going on. And I go to my wellness doctor and he's like, let's just do a full blood panel. Let's check everything that's going on. You know, it's one of the things they do to check testosterone and stuff too. So the results were interesting, because I won't show you all the details of the results, but if you look at the amount of red in my blood work there, we realized something was very not right. So there was a lot of green there too, but all that red was terrible. So we realized initially that I was anemic. Not only was I anemic, I was severely anemic. My blood iron stores were pretty much gone. A normal ferritin level for a male my age is like 38 and up. I was a 4. Ferritin is basically the blood stores in your iron. It means the amount of iron able to make its way through your body into the various systems and organs that it needs. And one of the other things that I was dealing with as a side effect was steady, uncontrolled weight gain. And you guys have noticed, some of you have been very supportive, and some of you have not been very supportive regarding that, but I digress. You guys know I've always been conscious with my health. I used to weigh 500 pounds. I'm very cognizant of what my weight is. I weigh myself every day. And although I don't make perfect food choices, I'm cognizant of the choices I make and get ahead of things when they start to get out of control. And one of the other things I dealt with during this time was severe depression. When I say severe depression, I mean I was actually diagnosed clinically undiagnosable depression, like not even medication. I wouldn't even take medication. Psychotropics were something I was not interested in taking. So things got really dark and really deep for a while there. Anyway, fast forwarding to going to the City of Hope Hematology and Oncology Center, we ruled out cancer, we ruled out all the things that could have possibly been affecting my white blood cell count. All the stuff pointed to cancer, which was very scary. But that wasn't what it ended up being. It ended up being just severe anemia and thalassemia. I've talked about that before. So now that it's been 7 months since all of that, I'm happy to report that things have actually gotten very, very good. In fact, I want to pull up some of my latest results here so you guys can see. So if we fast forward here to some blood work that I actually got done in May, I'm happy to report that my ferritin jumped up to a 131. In fact, here's that blood work. You can see it's all green except for one number. And that one number that's not green is actually just the red blood cell size. There's always variance in our red blood cell size, and because of the thalassemia, there's gonna be more variance in mine. Basically, thalassemia is just a mutation of the shape and size of the red blood cell. So that can lead to some oxygen stuff, but it was explained by my hematologist that that's just also the variance in red blood cells that are depleted or dying or old, getting replaced by new blood cells. Things are great there. And that took me going to the oncology center and getting massive iron infusions. Now, I take daily iron supplements, which hasn't been enough to correct this sort of a problem that I'm dealing with. And it just means I have bad iron absorption. And then part of that is a side effect of the gastric bypass that I had 15 years ago. It's just not something that's ever been a problem until recently. Some of you will remember last year I had a cholecystectomy, which means I had my gallbladder removed. That's typically something people have removed within a year of getting gastric bypass, because sudden weight loss also causes a problem with the gallbladder and sometimes the liver, and mine made it many, many years, but eventually it wasn't able to hold out any longer. So I had a lot of health stuff going on in 2023. So right now I feel great. My iron is up in a 131, like I said, from a 4, which is pretty significant increase. And if anyone is dealing with symptoms similar to mine, because that's one of the reasons why people have been asking me is like, hey, so what have you been dealing with? What have you been going through? Because I'm having similar issues. And the last thing I want to give is health advice, because I'm not an expert on health. I'm not even an expert in my own health. I have to go to experts to figure out what's going on. But I can tell you right now, the symptoms are so generic when it comes to lethargy and just fatigue and chronic fatigue. For me, one of the two main things that were concerning wasn't just the energy level, it was the slow, steady weight gain, and it was also the bone pain I was dealing with. And because of the fact that I was so anemic, your bone marrow is what creates your red blood cells, and it's also what needs iron and stuff to put the ingredients in the blood cell. Like if your bone marrow is the factory for your blood and you don't have all the ingredients, then the quality of your blood is terrible. So at this point, it's like we get ASUS blood, right? It's not RMAing my blood. It doesn't want to fix what's broken. It just wants to blame it on me, right? So that's exactly what my body was essentially doing. Fortunately, because of the fact that I have my iron stores replenished, energy and stuff has come back. But I want to talk about that real quick. I want to talk about the weight gain for a second, because there's some interesting stuff going on there. So the reason why I was dealing with such severe bone pain, and when I say bone pain, I mean, I've had 6 broken bones. I've had bone bruises, different type of pain. You can tell the difference between surface bone pain or even a fracture versus like the core of your bones just hurt. And my femurs and my legs, like if my wife was to like tap my thigh in like a loving, like, hey, sometimes, I'm married, I'll smack her ass and she'll smack my thigh, and that would be like, oh my God, the amount of pain from that. Not a muscular pain, but just like down to the core of your leg. And that's because of the fact that the bone marrow was also depleted of the ingredients it needed to do its job properly. So when I got my first infusion back in March, it was a 750 milligram iron infusion of Injectifer, which is a very like Cadillac type of iron. And because of going to the cancer center, they only use like the best type of stuff there, because they're dealing with people that have blood disorders, not just like mine, but obviously cancer related blood disorders. So they know what they're doing there, and I was very comfortable with that. But the first infusion, after a couple of days, I had like this spike in energy. I was like, oh my God, I feel great. For the first time in, at that point, like 4 months, I felt like I could actually make it all day long. The bone pain was subsiding a little bit and everything felt great. About a day or two after that, I crashed hard as I did the first time. And the way it was kind of explained to me was the fact that the reason why we do 2 infusions a week apart is because the first infusion immediately it's circulating through the body, and a lot of the organs that need the iron are seeing it, they're getting some of it, and they're going, great, we can function properly again. But then the bone marrow goes, bro, that's mine. And it takes it all out of the blood, and it starts to then use it as building blocks for new blood cells. So that's why I felt this spike and then this terrible crash right after it. So 7 days after my first infusion, I get the second infusion, and unfortunately, that one did not give me any sort of spike in energy with it. It took until about the beginning of June for me to start feeling like I was having energy back. One of the first places I noticed it was in the gym. During all of this, I never stopped going to my 5:30 in the morning gym sessions with my personal trainer. But I was able to go from like, if we talk about, I stayed off legs for a long time because of the leg pain I was talking about. It was almost all upper body, cardio, core strength, and just stretching. Stretching was like the #1 thing we did because of just the pain was terrible. So as the pain was going away at the end of one of my workouts, I said, you know what, I wanna try legs. Let's do some legs. I hadn't done legs in a long time. So we were doing machine assisted bar squats. I forget what that machine's called, where I was doing like bar squats with just a bar on my shoulder. This is a more of a stabilized machine. I was able to do a 400-pound squat on top of my body weight, which at the time was 300 pounds. I had gone from like 260 pounds to 300 pounds in a matter of time. We're talking nearly 40 pounds gained. You guys have noticed, like I said, so have I, trust me. But I was able to do that without any leg pain. Now I'm back on the sitting leg press at 900 pounds. A lot of the leg strength has come back, the flexibility has come back, and my muscle mass and my lean muscle mass index has started to improve quite a bit, because I was doing body scans during all of this and just watching the stats on my body were going the wrong way. If this was an MMO, I was failing hardcore. I was stacking stats that were not good in lieu of not putting points in stats that were important. So let's talk about the weight gain real quick. One of the reasons why that was explained to me was happening is because I became lazy. But when I say lazy, I don't mean like, oh, I'm too tired to do anything. I never stopped going to the gym. I never stopped trying to eat right. I logged everything. I used Noom. I was calorie counting. I was macro counting. I was taking care, like the summer prior to getting sick, like only a few months before that, I was very much monitoring everything I was doing with Noom. And so it's interesting because what I noticed was if I ate right and I was diligent and I kept everything underneath my metabolic rate so that I was always in a deficit, I never lost any weight. But if I was like, screw this, I want a freaking cheeseburger, I would eat a cheeseburger and fries and I feel guilty after it, but I'm like, okay, how can one meal won't hurt you? I'd get on the scale, I'd be up 2.5 pounds in a day, and then that would be my new baseline. So if I ate right, I stayed plateaued. If I just said screw it once, it would go up. And anytime I said screw it is when it would go up. Now you try and keep any sort of willpower during zero results for diligence, it doesn't exactly reinforce good behavior, right? So through that entire time, I saw a solid 35 to almost 40 pounds of weight gain during that time. And then as I started to say, the way it was explained to me was the laziness was not because I was tired, the body itself became lazy. If your metabolic system is a furnace, you know there's a pilot light to light the furnace. Well, my furnace turned off and I was operating under a pilot light. It takes more energy for your body to convert fat into energy than it does to convert food into fat. So when the body had to make a choice of we don't have enough nutrients or micronutrients to get the job done, because I was very, very vitamin deficient as well in other vitamins, not just iron, the body was saying, hey, anything he eats, just turn it into storage. And if he eats too much more than we're needing, then there's just that much more storage. So it became more efficient for my body to create fat than it did to turn fat into energy. So one of the things I noticed now that I'm feeling better is this is my weight gain and my weight decline that you can see now. So you can see during the summer, I was losing weight. I got down into like the 260s. And then you see that big old gap. That's when I was just not feeling it. Like everything was starting to go weird. You see that spike at 301? Well, you can see now we're dropping. I've dropped 15 pounds in the last 2 months since things have started turning back on. So like I said, I track everything and I'm proud to say that things are looking right. Unfortunately, I'm also not happy to say that this is gonna be about every 6 months I go through this. And by going through this, I mean my iron is going to fall off. It's just part of the way my body is now. So every 6 months I have to get blood work tested and get infusions as needed. We were really close to needing a blood transfusion outside of just an iron infusion simply because of how the iron was. Because all that was gonna happen there is my hemoglobin was just gonna continue to drop, which is the actual blood cell size and such itself. So it was just gonna continue to drop. Fortunately, we caught it in time. Let's talk about the other part of this video, which is and to cap all the health stuff off, yes, I appreciate all your guys' well wishes and stuff. I'm just glad we finally, after going to the right experts, figured out what was happening. Very simple solution, just one we have to stay on top of now. If you guys are dealing with some similar stuff, I highly recommend you push for large blood panels, more so than just the typical stuff Western doctors want to test. Like, oh, let's just test these few things. No, they took like 15 vials of blood from me at a time before we knew I was anemic, because that was a bad idea when you're anemic to have that much blood taken from you. The first question they asked me prior to, because my doctor was like, we're gonna pull a lot of blood, you're not anemic, right? I was like, no. He's like, okay, cool. And then he calls me and says, you're anemic. We probably shouldn't have pulled that much blood. So anyway, we learned. That's why the tests have been smaller and more spread out since then. Anyway, I highly recommend getting yourselves checked out. I'm 43 years old now, and I don't know if I could have headed this off, maybe because I'm stubborn. I don't go to the doctors unless I'm really sick or hurt or something. So I need to be more diligent on regular checkups. I highly recommend that you do that. It's important, it really is. So anyway, the other thing, let's talk about the move. Because I'm feeling great, I kind of have this new, like kind of revitalized passion for this and everything we're doing around here, because for a while there, I was really just debating saying, screw it all, sell the company. We've had offers on buying the company and I'm just like, let's just sell it, screw it. Let's just get out. I don't know what my future looks like. I don't know what my future health looks like. I don't know if I should just retire, call it quits or what. And I'm glad we got past that point because I really love what I do and I don't want to start over with something else. I don't even want to have like enough money in the bank to where I wouldn't have to work another day in my life, because that's not the kind of person I am. I would have to work no matter what. That is going to be who I am. I'll probably be like my dad. I'll probably work up until the end. And so I'm not ready to walk away from any of this. I'm not ready to retire. I'm not ready to say bye to you guys. So Now we're expanding and we're growing. And what I mean by that is we're gonna expand the space, and I want to grow the team. I wanna get more nitty gritty with you guys when it comes to the details, when it comes to the testing, and I'm not talking like Gamers Nexus level. I'm not talking like digital trends or any of that. I mean, deeper than we are now, but still be approachable for beginners to get into this space and feel comfortable with learning the basics, and then they can go off to find those deep dive channels where they want to learn more if that's what they want to do. But we're moving into a larger space in the same complex we're in now, like more than double the space we have now. Various offices that are already built out in there. We're gonna have a game room with like foosball table and like projector and maybe some like arcade games and consoles and maybe PCs. I mean, obviously we have PCs all over the place, but we wanna have a room where we can just like blow off some steam, have fun, screw around, have visitors over. But then we're also gonna have like our podcast set up again, because we'll have a dedicated space to that. We have a dedicated server room. There's the electrical will support all the stuff we want. I wanna do more manufacturing type stuff, and the warehouse is like 3 times bigger than what we have now. So we'll be able to create actual machine shop space where we can start creating parts, not just 3D printed stuff. We can make like models out of 3D printing, but we can start doing like desktop CNC type stuff. If you're watching this and you're involved in that space, I would love advice on the type of stuff that would work for us. Not like giant $100,000 CNC automated machines that are making massive quantities of parts, but I'm talking about stuff that we can use to create, you know, custom builds and brackets and things that we want for our systems, like desktop type stuff, but multiples of them, whether it be extruding or lathes or all kind, you know, subtractive, whatever. I'm interested in that kind of stuff. We'll finally have the space and the power to be able to do that in terms of our voltage systems and all that. There's also a water softener / deionized water set up there because it's a scientific center. The building, it's ironic that the place that we're gonna be taking over is a place where they were actually doing real science. We took a tour today where the guys got to look around, Nick and Phil, and you guys saw the warehouse, right? Nick, you saw the amount of science crap in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that was just like, I don't know what the hell this is, but it looks cool. It looks like it came out of the guts of a battleship, right? Anyway, moving on, we'll have the space for that, but I love that I'll be able to have a water system there that's gonna allow me to be able to do stuff without having to go to the store all the time and buying distilled water. We also have actual drains and sinks in the shop that we'll be able to use now for our water cooling setups, where we're not gonna have to, you know, try and figure out how we're gonna clean stuff out without having to go to the sink in the bathroom. It'll have its own dedicated cleaning station. We can even have an eye washing station if we want to do things right, especially when we're dealing with like other chemicals and things. That'd be great to have. We can do it right, you know, and proper. But anyway, that stuff wouldn't even be possible without the support of our viewers. And so that's why this video is also not just an update to say, hey, you aren't going to hear back about my health unless things turn really bad again for some reason, because there's no reason to continue talking about it. I just wanted to let you guys know things have improved. And not only have they improved, they sort of given me kind of a new outlook on a lot of what we're doing. And I want to grow it. And I want to grow the team. I want to grow the space. There's a rhyme to my reason and my madness. And hopefully it's all going to work out, especially right now when everyone's just so negative. And I don't mean negative towards us, but negative towards the space. We're always going to be happy and enthusiastic about what we do. And of course, there's going to be bad players in the space. There's going to be brands that are not, you know, the best for the consumers, and there's going to be brands that are. And we're going to try and focus on those that we feel like are positive, so that we can bring some positivity back to the space without all the constant negativity that's just been beaten into everyone's brains at this point. There's bad stuff out there, but there's good, and we can focus on the good. But we know negativity brings response way more than positivity, but we're not gonna change who we are simply because of the way that the space is currently right now. So I think our long-term viewers know that, they know us, and they trust that. And there's a lot of people that are not gonna like what I'm saying right now, and that is your prerogative. You are 100% entitled to that sort of opinion. I'm also entitled to be able to be positive about things where there's positivity that's warranted, and that's never gonna change. It was hard to stay positive about things during all of this. So I come out the other end of it right now feeling more positive than I went in. And I think that's like new energy right now that I need to sort of build upon. So a little bit later this year, October timeframe is when we'll be moving. You guys will see some moving vlogs, some setup vlogs, and I'm really excited to be able to expand what we're able to do. Not the space. The space expansion is not necessary for that. Well, it's not necessary for us to make this channel. It's necessary for us to expand the type of content we want to bring you. So anyway, again, I just want to say thank you for all of your continued support and all of that. And if you've come along and you decide to leave at some point, thank you for the time that you spent here, because you still had a huge impact on the way that we operate and the way that we work just by being a viewer of ours. Time to get out of here. No more health talk stuff. Back to the fun stuff. As always, guys, we'll see you in the next one.